Alright, some new games. Oh no, 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 no! Great, now what am I going to play? Super Robot Wars. Super Robot Taisen. Super Robot Taisen. Super Robot Taisen. You seeing a pattern here? Okay, I know that this game already came out in the United States on the GBA and the DS, but I think there's a lot more that just can't be known by playing these two games. Besides, you won't stop bugging me about it. Now, I didn't review this game earlier because I really didn't think that it was a you can play this.
An imported game for a handheld console or PC that can be played easily without an FAQ, walkthrough, or knowledge of the particular game's original language.
But the more requests I got for the game, the more I started to realize that, yeah, even though the menus are in Japanese and the story is in Japanese, that the battle system is really cross-culturally exciting and challenging, as are the characters in the game. Super Robot Taisen, or Super Robot Wars, was originally released in 1991 for the Game Boy. Yep, the good old green screen Game Boy. It featured 3 of Bandai's best-selling robot series, Gundam, Getter Robo, and Mazinger Z, and quickly became a popular game. Now, some of the newer titles actually boast over 15 different series, with several robots from each series peppering the landscape. And with over 50 games in the history of this series, it's going to be really hard to kind of focus on one game. So let me give you a general idea of how each game plays, since they're mostly the same. Controller-wise, the A button, or the circle button, will be the buttons that select something. If you choose something and then you want to back out, pressing the B button or the X button will do the trick. Other than the D-pad, you really don't need to know anything else. Now, the first screen will usually show you your character and the ship that you will command. You can usually name these in English, but it's not necessary to do this. Many of the newer games will then shoot you to a screen where you choose which Bandai series you will fight best alongside. And SRTW has my favorite in it, 100 Beast King Golion, otherwise known in the United States as
Voltron, Defender of the Universe.
Now, you will need to know these 2 words, yes and no. The majority of SRT games have them just like you see here. This is mainly just to confirm that you are doing something that you want to input. Then you are thrown headlong into the game. Just start skipping the dialogue. You'll be doing this a lot. Folks, I told you, these games are Japanese story intensive. So you're going to be skipping over a lot of the storyline just to get to the action. But if you can get past that fact, I think you'll enjoy it a lot more. Oh, like here. You'll see that the battle scenes are played on a grid, just like almost every other strategy game out there. The difference here is that you don't need to position yourself behind or to the side of a mech to get a better shot. Just being within distance of an enemy is good enough. But don't worry, I've made you a cheat sheet for you to print out. And since almost every game in the series has menus that are fairly similar, it shouldn't be a problem for you to use this cheat sheet and get through them. And eventually, you'll know where everything is, and you won't need to use the cheat sheet anymore. You'll start by choosing which of your mechs you'll want to act first. Then, you get a choice of Move, Spirit, which is the pilot's special ability, and Status. These are the stats that you get when you're not next to an enemy or within enemy range. When you do get within range, then you get another status just below Move, which is Fight. When you choose that, then you get your choice of several attacks depending on the distance of your enemies. On that chart, you can see the weapon attributes, damage potential, and distance. Some other games may have other stats, but you really only need to focus on the very last 2, damage potential and distance. Only attacks that can hit an enemy within range will be highlighted, so this is very helpful for non-Japanese speaking players. Once you have chosen a weapon to use, then you are taken back to the battle screen, where you choose which unit to attack in your range. Lastly, you're taken to a new screen, where you see how your mechs measure up. The active mech will attack first, and if the other mech is still around after that, and in range for their weapons, then they will get a turn to attack back. Okay, that seemed like a lot of information, but now that we've made an attack, Here's what you've been waiting for. Go get him, guys! Yeah! Whoa! Whoa, whoa! Yeah! Gah, gah, gah. And each attack for every mech is different, and each one has its own animations. And this is part of what makes the SRT series so spankin' cool. When you have finished your turn, then you can move to the next mech on your team. When all of your mechs have done their actions, then you click on an empty space and choose the top selection, which is End Phase. It then becomes your opponent's turn. Also, don't get yourself shot down or it'll be a game over, so watch those damage levels. You can save your game in the middle of battle by selecting an open area and going to the bottom right here. Then you just save and go back to your game. And lastly, when you finish a battle, you will usually be sent to a screen that will allow you to spend your skill points that you've earned during the battle. Right here. These make your mechs more powerful. This can be complicated if you don't know the language, but if you stick to raising just the essentials, then you really don't need to go into the details. The 4 areas you're really going to want to look for are these: Save Data, Train Pilot, Upgrade Unit, which is more important than Train Pilot because it beefs up your mechs. Those are the ones taking the damage after all. And the shop allows you to buy items for your mechs. If you feel like you see an item that makes sense to you, then by all means buy it and attach it to your mech. So, to wrap things up, otaku and Japanese robot fans are going to get a kick out of this game, while it also offers plenty for the strategy battle player. Japanese is going to be a steep wall here, but if you find that you are getting even a bit of enjoyment out of this game, keep working at it. Take notes, and do your best. Depending on which system that you use will dictate how the graphics will look, but I've never been disappointed in the graphics for any of the 8 Super Robot Taisen games that I own. Japanese menus, storyline, and role-playing elements make this a tough game to pick up and play, but really, this gets a rating of 4 only because most of the games are linear and do not split off, and 95% of the time, you don't need to know the story to proceed. It's pick and choose. There are really no big controls here to mention. When you push the button, the play keeps going. Not only will these beg for a replaying, but you might want to challenge an old enemy and see if you can defeat them quicker the next time you play. Expect to hold vendettas game to game. This is variable. I've purchased games for as little as $8 shipped, but I've also paid up to $50 new. Search for the best bargains and don't break your bank on these. You can have fun on the cheap with this series. Now, several of the games have different ways that they play. Some mechs have multiple attacks. Some mechs can heal other mechs. It can be difficult to know which game is right for you, but if you stick with the basics and do a little bit of research, I think you'll find the game that's right for you. If all else fails, you can just buy the GBA game that came out in the United States. That's a surefire way to know if you'll like it or not. So thanks for watching. And be sure to leave written or video comments about what you thought of this episode or about other games you might like to see me play in the future.